One of the coolest things about being a superhero is how easy it is to catch a ride. Be Spider-Man. Play the game.
Spider-Man 2002, probably one of the least talked about Spider-Man games, yet one of the most beloved when brought up among my peers, or as I like to call the game, Tobey 1, after the lead actor, Tobey Maguire. Having a huge heart-on for Tobey Maguire, one of the greatest actors I've had the pleasure of witnessing on the big screen. It puzzles me that I rarely see any videos talking about the history of Tobey 1, and I thought, heck, might as well make my own. And thus, here's my observations and findings on the history of Tobey 1. Treyarch was an independent game development studio established in 1996 by Peter Aikman and Don Likeness. Despite not developing many games before they were asked to port games for the Dreamcast, which initially sparked Activision's interest in Treyarch, Activision and Treyarch agreed that they would create Tobey 1 for all three next-gen consoles. According to a piece by lead programmer James Fristrom for Game Developer Monthly's August issue, it was a nightmare being understaffed at the start of the development, only having 4 programmers, 4 game designers, 3 modulars, 1 texture artist, 1 producer, and 1 creative director. But fortunately for him, he got much more staff later on. Keeping on a tight schedule since the game had to be completed in 18 months and ported to 3 different consoles, it was necessary to reuse the PSX engine used to create Spider-Man 2000 instead of starting from scratch. More problems arose when the game's scriptwriter was hired late, and the approval of the script by Activision and Sony took longer than expected. Due to that, not many cutscenes hadn't even began to be worked on. To make matters even more chaotic, not having a proper file naming procedure played a huge factor, as some sounds were merely supposed to be placeholder sounds, and since the lack of proper file naming, it was a constant auto juggle. The game suffered from around 1,600 bugs due to it being on multi-platform, meaning tons of overtime was needed to get it fixed, working to make sure the game was bug-free until the day of release. I won't lie, I was never one to keep up with E3, not to mention I was only like 6 at the time, and even nowadays I'm more ecstatic when the new Taco Bell or Mountain Dew items drop, rather than the hot new games shown at E3. I only came across this footage due to this man right here, Brian64. Huge props to him. Fun fact, he was the one that actually came to me to see if I knew any beta footage or cut content so he could make his own video. At the time, I really didn't know any info. While many games were shown at E3 at the PlayStation booth, Tobey 1 in my eyes is the holy grail of beta footage. It was a very short showing. Regardless, it does give a glimpse of cut content from the final game, and inspired my lust for more knowledge for Tobey 1. Tobey's model is a lot more bony in this beta, while he bulked up in the final cut. The level shown here, Race Against Time, has a completely different intro cutscene compared to the final release, as a swarm of helis attack Tobey, while in the final version it's just Oscorp robots setting up bombs. Due to the poor quality of the E3 footage, I'm not 100% sure if the colors I see are accurate, so I'll only say this. The heli lights are green instead of warm white, the lasers emitted from the explosives are bright red instead of cool blue, buildings have different colors in advertisements than the final version, but I'm pretty sure these were just placeholders. The one time it's good to see a game over screen is when it's served hot and ready in this footage. We can see that they originally had J. Jonah James and Plaster Your Failure in front of the front page of the Daily Bugle, while in the official release, when you game over, it's just a black screen with a red spider outline. Now onto the mission itself. The idea is the same, but the appearance is much different. The beta shows that the bombs are surrounded by an aura of light, but it doesn't faze my mans at all, and just falls apart when he walks right through it, leaving behind a pyramid. This is obviously different from the final version, as you hit a keypad to shut off the bombs instead. Something that caught my attention was the free-falling animation. Tobey appears to be in a freeze-frame karate stance, while they changed it to more of a gothic squat. Slish idi suda bladai telefon pozvanit kind of thing, you know? Anyways, people love to rip on cloud swinging, but I'm an easy please, so it never really bothered me. And to be fair, the game did have to be finished in 18 months. So it'd be no surprise Tobey would be blacklisted from any NBA draft with the mad air he gets, dunking over any team he'll come up against, swinging over every building in sight. But they broke his legs in the final release, and his swinging height is now capped. A minor detail but a very crucial game changer that I actually missed on my first viewing was that the web meter drains in every web swing, similar to the Spider-Man 2000 game with Rino Romano. In the corner of this beta, you can see it was planned to only have you disable 5 bombs instead of 7 like in the final version. Don't think your boy needs to be bitten by a radioactive spider to enhance his vision to see that the HUD got a major cleanup, resembling nothing of the final version. Starting off with your health and web bar, they are much longer and have a gap between them. Your compass and height meter have also been changed. Once resembling spiders, now you have a circle with a spider in it and changes white when you're near an objective. And your height bar is now slim and black and has a blue and a red square, red being you and blue being the mission's objective height, while in the beta it only appears to show Tobey's height and not the objective's height. Now let's take a look at these 2 trailers I came across. The first trailer I have no idea when it aired, but anyways, notice that Tobey went through another HUD change. Icons have been changed again, and you have a red belly spider underneath your health bar with a number next to it. So it could be the number of lives, or it could just be like in Spider-Man 2000 where it is the amount of web cartridges left in your web shooters. Come to think of it, it would make sense for it to be web cartridges, since in the movie trailer it shows it was originally planned for Tobey to have web shooters. Maybe when they changed it to have organic webbing in the movie, the game devs decided to give Tobey organic webbing in the game. And this thug has a spider icon underneath its boots instead of a shadow. Watching this trailer over 50 times and I missed it every time, but a split second you can see that Tobey's teaming up with the Popo to fight Shocker in the Grand Central Station level. The amount of freakout I had was a little too much for a small frame. The air duel with Vulture has different architecture and it isn't raining, but that could be due to the low quality of the video that I am unable to see the rain like in the final version. Both Vulture's icon and health bar have been changed and the placements where they're supposed to be placed at are now flip-flopped. Now time to go back to the race against time level. Helis are now red and either the timer is stuck on 0 or I don't know if it starts till you deactivate 1 bomb or you just have a timer visible during the opening cutscene. But in the end, it is just a trailer, so they might have just stopped the timer to show off the level without having any fear of a game over. Trailer 2 was probably shown off in other forms of media than the 2 that I am choosing to talk about right now. In April 2002, Kellogg's partnered with America's Dairy Farmers and Milk Processors, aka the Got Milk guys. The promotion was that they mailed you this CD-ROM if you mailed them 2 proof of purchases of Kellogg's products and 2 proof of purchases of gallons of milk. Something that I noticed is that the models in these pics in the back of the cereal box resemble Tobey's model rather than Rino Romano's model. The other time this trailer was shown was alongside many other promotional trailers, in this VHS tape given out to EB Game Store customers in the UK to help promote the release of the GameCube. Trailer to what I believe is the closest to launch day, and to not sound like a broken record, I'll only mention stuff that I haven't mentioned before. Such as in this brief moment you can see the health bar is now yellow instead of red. Maybe there were plans for Spidey armor? Vulture has 2 bars now, one green, one red. Unlike in the final version where they just made it 1 bar, half red, half blue. Last but not least, where the Spidey compass should be, you can see this very strange flashing transparent circle with 2 icons in it. Looking for more cut content, I hit up the Googles and found out Tobey One had articles in a few gaming magazines, but the one I'm going to be looking at is Nintendo Power's 156 issue, mainly due to it being available online through a Nintendo Power archive site. So huge shoutouts to this site for allowing me to read and download the magazine for free. Anyway, I read through and everything seemed normal, and I was about to shrug it off as nothing until I saw a screenshot where Shocker's still firing an electric beam while in the final version he weakens a pillar and hauls ass while you try to save a guy on his cell phone from being flattened like a pancake. But my theory for this screenshot is that it's another scrap level design where you save the civilian and dodge Shocker's oncoming attacks, or this could just be a misprint. Top Keck. Now to look at the most unlikely candidate for cut content, the game's official strategy guide by Philip Marcus, containing storyboards and interview questions from the development team. When asked what are some of the early ideas you had about the direction of the game, what sort of things didn't make it into the game, creative director Chris Soros answered, "I would have liked to have more of Peter's surrounding characters like Aunt May, Harry, and Mary Jane. Can you really get enough of Mary Jane?" When asked the same question, producer Jonathan Zamkoff answered with, "We had ideas for a lot of civilian rescue and burning building motifs that we chose to remove after the tragedies of September 11th. We also had a multiplayer version working that we just didn't have the time to effectively QA, but I would have loved to see in this game." And Chief Engineer Jason Bear stated, "Still, there were plenty of moves tossed into the recycling bin because they were a bit too far out there. Even Spider-Man, with all the flipping and jumping and twisting, he has his limits." Not really beta content, just some fun facts about the development of Tobey by the development team themselves. According to the audio director Sergio, they recorded all the orchestral parts using a live orchestra in Czech Republic. And back to creative director Chris Soros, he states, "Since they weren't dealing with the average Joe, and instead Hollywood superstars Tobey Maguire and William Dafoe, they couldn't just have them come on a regular daily basis just to record lines. So instead they had members of the development team record lines before Tobey and William Dafoe had their chance to record lines." I can be here all day talking about the many cool little fun facts that partook into the making of this game, but I'm gonna move on to the main course, the storyboard / concept art, cause pictures are usually more fun to look at anyway.
Goblin! You aren't getting away from me! I'm going to destroy you! Don't be so difficult, Spider-Man! You messed with the wrong guy! This battle will settle things! Now I've got you. Come on, Rusty. Let's dance. You think you can stop me? Stop things so difficult! No, it's getting away. Mary Jane!
Oh, Spider-Man. Come get him, Tiger.
We should do this again sometime. I'm Spider-Man. Ooh! Now you're getting into the spirit of things. You must strike without mercy to win. Give me a break.
I will be citing all my sources in the description of this video. So my bad for any misinformation I may have relayed in this video.
I'll try and keep my monologue here short and sweet. Many people want Tobey to return as the webhead, but in the end he is an actor, and as an actor your goal is to be immortalized in cinema, able to play any role you are given, like Clint Eastwood, Robert De Niro, or Leonardo DiCaprio. Unfortunately for Tobey, he is typecast, probably the worst thing to happen to an actor, and forever will be known to many as the guy who only played Spider-Man. And don't quote me on this as fact, but I believe Tobey has moved on and wants nothing to do with Spider-Man. I won't lie, even I was one to only associate Tobey Maguire with Spider-Man. But as the years passed, I've been watching more and more of his work, such as Pleasantville, The Details, Great Gatsby, Pawn Sacrifice, Cats and Dogs, Boss Baby, and I hope to continue watching more of his films, even though I'm extremely biased. I pretty much like anything this man does. I suck him off way too much, but I wish Tobey good luck on whatever he decides to do in life.
In conclusion, I'm not a journalist, just some guy who used word of mouth, Google, YouTube, and a strategy guide for all his info. So don't take anything I say as true fact, and I will put links to all my sources in the description of this video. But I love this game, and I could never come up with words to describe how I really felt about this game till the Rixer and Adam Speedrun said it beautifully during their streams. Tobey's not just a great superhero game, it's a great game, and you don't need to know anything about Spider-Man to enjoy it. Same goes with the movies, it's a masterpiece film, not just a great superhero film. Anyways, till next time, thanks for watching.